Title: She sold my memories, not just my things, when I packed my last box and shut the door to my childhood room. I didn't think I'd ever see it again. I remember standing there for a moment, taking in the familiar smell of laundry detergent and dust, the faint hum of the ceiling fan that never worked properly, and the faded posters on the wall that represented who I used to be. It felt like leaving behind a ghost of myself. I moved out 6 months ago, not in anger, not after a fight, but simply because I was ready. My mom and I had always had a complicated relationship. She was controlling but loving, critical but dependent. I thought distance might help us. It didn't. Last weekend, I went back home to pick up a few things I'd left behind. An old camera, a vinyl collection, my childhood stuffed bear that, embarrassingly enough, I still wanted to keep. But when I opened the door to my old room, I froze. It was empty. The shelves were bare. The bedspread was gone. The walls were freshly painted beige, the color my mom uses when she wants to reset a space. I remember standing there in disbelief, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. "Mom," I called out, already fearing the answer. She appeared behind me, arms crossed, wearing that familiar expression of self-justified calm. "Oh," she said, almost casually. "I didn't think you'd mind. You moved out. You're an adult now." "What do you mean, didn't think I'd mind? Where's my stuff?" I demanded. Her tone didn't change. "I sold it. Some of it went to charity, the rest on Marketplace. You never came back for it, so I figured you didn't want it." I couldn't believe it. My camera, a vintage Canon that belonged to my late dad, gone. My records, collected over years, gone. My journals, filled with years of thoughts, gone. "You sold my dad's camera?" I asked, my voice cracking. She shrugged. "It was just collecting dust. You weren't using it." Something in me snapped. I shouted at her, louder than I've ever shouted in my life. The words came out raw, shaking. "You had no right. Those were my things. You sold pieces of my life like they were junk." She didn't flinch. Instead, she said coldly, "Don't yell at me in my house. I gave you everything. A roof, food, school, and this is how you repay me. By screaming over old junk." It wasn't junk. It was my past. My connection to my father, my childhood, the pieces that made me me. I stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. I didn't look back. Later that night, I got a text from her. "You owe me an apology for how you spoke to me. I was only trying to move on and make space. If you wanted your stuff, you should have come sooner." One typed out 100 replies and deleted all of them. Part of me wanted to scream again. Part of me wanted to beg her to understand. And part of me wondered if maybe she was right. I had left. I had moved on. Maybe she thought I didn't need that part of my life anymore. But deep down, I can't forgive her. She didn't just sell my things. She erased the last traces of the person I used to be. My sister says I overreacted, that I should have expected this from mom. My friends say I'm justified, that what she did was cruel and invasive. I'm torn. Maybe yelling wasn't right. Maybe I lost control. But doesn't selling someone's memories count as a betrayal too? So aitah for yelling at my mom after she sold my stuff. Or was I just defending what little I had left of my past? Part E. The things we can't replace. I didn't talk to my mom for 3 weeks after that fight. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach tightened. Half of me wanted it to be her. Half of me hoped it wasn't. When I finally gathered the courage to look at her messages, there were several. "You're being immature. I was trying to help. You're making me out to be a monster. Call me, please." The last one was from 2 days ago. No hearts, no emojis. Just that word, please. I ignored it, but the silence started to feel heavier than the shouting ever did. Then one morning, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hi, is this Jake? I think I bought something that might belong to you." The message included a picture. My dad's camera. My chest tightened so hard I nearly dropped the phone. I called immediately. The woman on the other end, her voice soft and hesitant, explained that she'd bought it off Facebook Marketplace from a lady named Carol. "My mom," she said. When I opened the case, I found a note inside. It looked personal. She sent me a photo of the note. It was written in my dad's handwriting. Shaky but familiar. "For Jake, capture everything beautiful, even when it hurts." My throat burned. That note was the last thing my dad gave me before he passed away when I was 16. I hadn't even remembered putting it in there. I offered to buy the camera back immediately. double what she paid. The woman refused the money and said she'd mail it to me for free. When the package arrived a week later, I just sat with it on my bed, staring at the worn leather strap, the small scratch by the shutter button, the smell of metal and time. It felt like holding a heartbeat again. That night, I called my mom. She didn't answer, so I tried again. The third time, she picked up, her voice cautious, like she wasn't sure who she'd be talking to. "Jake, yeah?" I said quietly. "It's me." There was a long pause. "I didn't expect you to call." I got Dad's camera back. Silence again. I could hear her breathing. Uneven, shaky. "Jake," she said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." I almost laughed, but it came out as a sharp exhale instead. "Then why'd you do it? You sold everything. You didn't even tell me." Her voice cracked. "I didn't want you to know. Not like this." "Know what?" I snapped. She hesitated. I could hear the sound of her taking a deep breath. "I was behind on the mortgage," she said finally. 3 months behind. I didn't want to ask you for help because you've already given me enough. I thought selling the things you left behind would be easier than telling you the truth." I froze. It wasn't anger this time. It was something worse. Disappointment. Sadness. The kind that doesn't shout but just sits in your chest like wet concrete. "You could have told me," I said. "I couldn't," she said quietly. "You finally seemed happy. I didn't want to pull you back into this house, into my mess. But you did anyway," I whispered. She started crying then. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but quiet. Broken sobs that sounded like guilt. "I'm sorry, Jake. I thought I was protecting you." I wanted to forgive her right there. I really did. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because even if she'd done it for the right reasons, she'd done it the wrong way. After we hung up, I just sat there in the dark, holding that camera. My dad's note burned in my mind. Capture everything beautiful, even when it hurts. So I started doing just that. I began taking pictures again. Of empty streets at dawn, strangers laughing in coffee shops, my own reflection in a cracked mirror. Somehow, every photo felt like a piece of me finding its way back home. A few months later, Mom and I met for coffee. She looked older than I remembered, tired, but her eyes softened when she saw the camera hanging around my neck. "I'm glad you got it back," she said quietly. "Me too?" There was a pause. "I know I can't fix what I did," she said, "but maybe I can help you make new memories." For the first time in months, I smiled. Not fully. Not the kind of smile that comes from forgiveness, but the kind that says maybe someday. Part E, the final betrayal. Just when I thought we were healing, something else happened. 2 months after that coffee, I got a letter from the bank addressed to my mother, forwarded to my apartment by mistake. I was about to toss it aside when I noticed my name listed in the letterhead. It said, "Regarding co-signature agreement and property sale." My heart dropped. ID never signed anything. I read further, and there it was. A signature that looked exactly like mine. Mom's handwriting. My name. She'd forged my signature to refinance her mortgage, using my credit. That's when the world tilted again. I drove to her house that night, shaking with fury and betrayal. When she opened the door, she looked startled, like she knew. "How could you?" I said, holding up the letter. "You forged my name. You lied." Again, tears welled in her eyes instantly. "Jake, please. I didn't mean to. Don't you dare say you didn't mean to," I shouted. "You've been manipulating me my whole life. Selling my things, using my name, and every time you say it's for my own good." She was crying now, reaching for me, but I stepped back. "Do you even realize what you've done? My credit's tied to your house now. If you lose it, I lose everything too." "I was desperate," she whispered. "I thought I could fix it before you found out." "Desperate doesn't mean dishonest," I said coldly. There was nothing left to say after that. I walked away. This time, I didn't look back. It's been for months since that night. The loan issue is still being sorted out with lawyers. I've blocked my mom on everything. Sometimes I still take pictures of empty roads, cloudy skies, half-finished buildings. But they all look the same lately. Hollow. I know forgiveness is supposed to be freeing. But how do you forgive someone who keeps breaking the same part of you, over and over again, and calling it love? Maybe one day he'll understand why she did it. Maybe one day he'll forgive her. But not today. Because love without respect isn't love. It's control dressed in care. And I'm finally learning the difference. Part of the things we leave behind. 3 years passed before I saw my mother again. By then, I'd built an entirely different life. New apartment, new job, new routines. I'd learned to keep my distance from anyone who reminded me of the person I used to be. too forgiving, too trusting, too ready to believe that sorry fixed everything. But pain has a strange way of circling back, like a shadow that waits until you stop watching. It was a Tuesday evening when I got the call. A nurse's voice, calm but heavy. Mr. Miller, your mother has been admitted to St. Jude's Hospital. She asked for you. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not because I was scared, but because I didn't know what I was supposed to feel. Anger? Pity? Obligation? All I knew was that I couldn't ignore her again. When I walked into our hospital room, she looked so small. The woman who used to fill every space with her voice, commanding, controlling, now barely stirred under thin white sheets. Her skin was pale, her lips dry, her hair thinner than I remembered. Jake, she whispered when she saw me. It wasn't an accusation or a plea, just my name, as if she'd been practicing it for years and finally got it right. I stood there for a long time before I said anything. Hey, Mom. Her eyes filled instantly. You came. I almost didn't. She gave a soft laugh that turned into a caw. You sound just like your father when you're mad. That name, Father, hit me like a nail in the chest. I hadn't heard her say it in years. She motioned weakly toward the bedside drawer. There's something for you, she said. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a small wooden box, old, scratched, the kind that used to sit on our mantel when I was a kid. Open it, she said. Inside was a stack of photos, new ones. Each one was printed on glossy paper, carefully trimmed, dated in her handwriting. The first was of the house before it was sold, the art overgrown but still recognizable. The second, a photo of me, standing outside my apartment, camera in hand. I didn't even realize she'd taken it. And the third, my dad, smiling, his arm around her shoulders, his face caught in a sunbeam. I stared at that one the longest. I took those from your Facebook, she said softly. I wanted to see the life you built. I know I lost the right to be in it, but I just needed to see it existed. I didn't know what to say. She reached for my hand, her fingers trembling. Jake, I did something else. Something you might hate me for. But I couldn't leave without fixing what I broke. My stomach twisted. What do you mean? She took a deep breath. The house, the loan, everything I tied to your name, it's gone. Paid off. I used what little I had left to clear it. You're free from all of it. I blinked. How? You didn't have that kind of money. A faint smile touched her lips. I sold something. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. What did you sell this time? She closed her eyes. The last thing I had that mattered to me. Your father's ring. My throat went dry. That ring had been the one thing she kept after he died. She never took it off. Mom, she interrupted me, her voice fragile but steady. It wasn't mine to keep, Jake. It was his way of loving us. And I'd spent years twisting that love into control. I needed to give it up, to make something right before I go. Her breathing grew shallow, like each word scraped against something deep inside her. I know saying sorry won't fix anything, she whispered, but I hope when you take pictures now, you'll see me somewhere in them. Not the woman who lied, but the one who tried, too late, to do the right thing. I felt something break inside me. Not the sharp pain of anger, but the dull, tired ache of forgiveness finally finding its place. I reached for her hand and held it. I don't hate you, Mom. I just wish you'd told me the truth sooner. She smiled faintly. So do I. Her hand grew still in mine. And just like that, she was gone. Part V. The photograph after the funeral. I found a sealed envelope tucked into the wooden box. It was addressed to me in her handwriting. Inside was a note and a photo. The note read, Jake, forgiveness is just another word for understanding that love is imperfect. You don't have to forget, but I hope you'll remember that even the worst of us can want to be better. The photo was old, one I didn't remember ever seeing. It was my dad holding his camera, pointing it at me, a small boy covered in dirt, grinning with missing teeth. My mom was behind him, mid-laugh, her hand on his shoulder. Someone had written on the back, in faded ink, the day everything was still good. I sat there for hours, staring at that picture until the edges curled in my hand. And then, for the first time in years, I took my own photo of that same picture, lying on the windowsill with the afternoon light cutting through it. It wasn't perfect. The focus was off, the shadows too harsh, but somehow it was beautiful anyway. Maybe that's what my dad meant. Capture everything beautiful, even when it hurts. Because sometimes what's left after betrayal isn't just pain, it's proof that love existed at all.